Hey guys, welcome to the first video of the NSADF Labs YouTube channel. This is going to be a complete Fusion 360 tutorial because it's a very powerful tool for many engineers to use. It's very important, and if you just want to make UAVs or follow along with our, SAD2 and uh, rocket series, it's very, very helpful. So let's get started. When you open up Fusion, you'll be met with just, this blank page. You can just draw, do random things. But Fusion mostly is you go to the home page. There are some sample projects you can do. It'll just show you all the projects that you have. You go into each folder, you can make projects. It's pretty cool. Recent will just be, most recent things you've done. But for the purposes of this, we're not going to make a new project because Fusion makes a new project actually every time you open up Fusion, which is kind of annoying, but it's helpful for now. But if you want to move around, you take your scroll wheel on your mouse and just click it, and you can move around two-dimensionally. That paired with left shift and the scroll wheel, you can move around three-dimensionally. Or you can grab here and just left click, and you can move around via this way. I personally prefer the left shift and scroll wheel, but you can use any way you want. Now, how do you make a shape? Because that's what all this 3D modeling is. First, you go to create a sketch. You choose the axis you want it on. So for now, we're going to change the base axis. You can do a line, 2-point rectangle, all these different things. There's a bunch of different shapes, very helpful. And for now, we're just going to go with a 2-point rectangle. And as you move it out, you will see these measurements pop up. Most of the time, they're in millimeters. If you want to change that, you can always go back in settings and do that. So we made a rectangle. You're just dragging it across. Press finish sketch here or here, and it'll bring you out to three-dimensional view. Rotate around, and you'll be able to see that it's still 2D. It's not really an object yet. How do we change that? We press extrude and pull up the arrow or down the arrow by however much we want. So let's say for now we want it to be 45 millimeters tall. Okay. But this is kind of boring. It's just a square. How do we make this more interesting? For now, we're just going to be making a little box with cool surroundings on it, and it'll just guide you through the basics. So, how do you make a box? Shell. You select the object or the face, and you change the inside thickness. So for now, I want it to be 5 millimeters. I can change it to 3, 2, or 1. We're going to go with 2 because we don't want it to be too thin or too thick. You can also choose if you want it to extrude inside or outside. Outside will just kind of fill it in because it won't do anything for just a rectangle. Both do the same thing as just inside in this scenario. Right. You can also make it so it's a rounded shell, which will give it some niceness on the inside, or just a sharp shell. We're going to go with the sharp shell for now. Right. So, now that we have the inside hollowed out, I want it to face upwards. And I want to be able to adjust things inside in just the general design. How do I do that? I select move. Again, click the object. But this is just going to move it around up and down, left and right. Sure, move it up. Now we have more room to work underneath with. But if you want to move it around, you go to move type, translate, rotate to point, all these different things. We're going to select rotate, or you can select free move, and this way you'll be able to go like this. Just drag it around. We're going to go by 90 degrees, move it up, and it's still crooked. This will happen. Fusion is not always perfect. But now we have it's standing up and it's hollow on the inside. Great first start. So, how do we make this look nicer? Because if you're just going to 3D print the hollow box, sure, that might work for a pencil stand. but even a pencil stand, it's always important that your designs look nice. So, how do we do that? There's many different ways. Depending on what you're trying to do, what aesthetic you're trying to do, you can use all sorts of tools. You can what's the put a hole through it. You can push it out. You can sweep it. You can do all sorts of things. But for now, what we're going to do is we are going to choose the fillet tool. How this works is that we choose an edge, and then, like the extrude tool, we show how much we are filleting it by. Now, there's only a maximum you can do it by, otherwise, there will just be a gaping hole in the side of your project. So, what we'll do is we'll go, let's say, 5 millimeters, right? Okay. Then we fillet each side by 5 millimeters. All right, it's looking a lot nicer now. It looks like something that would be more professional. You can store things in here, right? It's cool. Here's the thing though. What if I want separate compartments? All right. So, if we want separate compartments on the inside, we could do the web function, but just to make sure that you guys understand, we're going to do this. We're going to press the inspect/measure button. We're going to press one edge here and one edge here. It's 46 millimeters across. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to sketch. And here's where the axis is really coming into play. If I go like this, then I can go directly here, take this little 2-point rectangle again, and say I want it to be in the middle, right? I go all the way down like this, right? Press finish sketch. Take this, which should be actually underneath here, and we're going to extrude it, bring two things together, then Fusion will automatically say that these two things are now one thing, and you can't move this one part anymore, as long as they're touching. So, we're going to bring it to the bottom. We're going to go extrude up the top, and now we have a little compartment. One side is a little bit bigger than the other. We can change that by just moving it. But like I said, you can't change that because they're melded together. So even if one compartment is a little bit bigger than the other, it's fine. Right. So these are pretty much the basics. Again, we can also fillet these edges here just a little bit by 2.5 millimeters. That'll give us a nice aesthetic to our thing. All right, let's go actually 1.5, and boom. I have a nice rounded edge, which will be very good for putting pencils, erasers, anything you need. Now, all right, time for a little bit of unnecessary design, just so I can show you a couple more concepts. We're going to extrude the bottom out a little bit. Then we're going to go underneath, put a little hole through, and boom. Now we have a little hole in the bottom. You may be asking, why did I do this? Well, do you guys ever have the problem of where you get a lot of lead or eraser things in the bottom of your pencil holder? Well, I do. So how do we fix that? We're going to add a little compartment at the bottom that you can pull to take all those things out. Here's how it's going to work. As I just demonstrated, you can press the hole tool and create a hole anywhere on any side. You can even dictate what type of drill it is. You can make it so you can screw it in, the diameter, all those things. So here's what we're going to do. How do we make sure that this doesn't just fall out of the bottom every time we do something? Here's how it works. We are once again going to go into design, go to the bottom. Another 2-point rectangle will work here, just like this. Like this. Finish our sketch. We're going to extrude this guy a little bit, by maybe 4 millimeters or 3. Yes, 3 works better. Now we will use the free room to move him up again, and oh, not that far up. In reality, you'll be able to adjust it, but all right. How does this work now? I would just have like a floating little piece at the bottom. This is where one of the most important concepts comes in. When you're using Fusion, you have to be very careful to measure correctly and be very exact. Otherwise, things might come out a lot weirder than you hope them to be. And trust me, I've had a lot of weird experiences with that. So here's how it works. We're going to figure out. So I know that we made this 3 millimeters tall. And by 24 millimeters wide or long. So then we are going to, once again, design. I'm going to go here. Another 2-point rectangle. I love my 2-point rectangles. Go like this. Well, actually, let's make that a little bit tighter. Essentially, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make a little slot that this will go in on the bottom so that you will be able to take it on and off. So we take this little guy here, make sure it's pretty tight of a fit because your printer isn't going to print exactly. Finish the sketch. Extrude this guy a little bit. 65 seems to work. Although I will argue that that's a bit long. So we're going to bring it in a little bit. Like I said, even I make mistakes, and that's okay. You will make a lot of mistakes. It's bound to happen. Right. So we're going to take this. Again, we are going to put a shell in the inside. And the inside thickness, we'll put it as 2. But sometimes objects are too small for you to be able to do that. So if you can do something like 1, that'll be all right. Maybe we might even be able to do 0.5. See? Now that we have this little thing inside, we measure. What is it by? 2.876. So I'm going to write this down on a piece of paper I have next to me. Always keep a piece of paper next to you when you're engineering or designing, because it's very important to write down such things like these notes. And if you don't have a piece of paper by you, go grab one real quick, pause the video, make sure you write this down. And then 23.795. Okay. Now, because this rectangle isn't going to fit into that one, this is a very good example of something in Fusion we call trial and error. A lot of your designs won't work on the first time, and you'll just have to kind of mess with them. This is very normal for a Fusion project. It's not everything you do is going to work on the first time, and even me, as basically a professional Fusion person, isn't going to get this perfectly. So again, we'll go to Create Sketch, choose the right axis, go up here, create yet another 2-point rectangle. Place a little point here and a little point there. Finish the sketch. Take this guy. Where is he? Actually, we're going to move this over here a little bit. And why don't we rotate this around 180 degrees. Move it over here and then back here. Awesome. We go under here. We extrude it out here. That should be enough to cover up the hole, but let's make it 30 just in case. Okay. Now, let's see. Will this fit inside of our other piece? And it does. Maybe not perfectly because you can't align perfectly in Fusion, but it fits, which is very good. Now, here's how this works. I'm going to take this piece right here, I'm going to move this under. Now I want this to latch on. So we're going to put this here. Fit back, adjust. Remember, always adjust, trial and error. Okay. Right. As you can tell, it's a bit long. So we go here and fix that by going to the end, unextrude it. Here we go. And it's perfect. Gets a little slot right there. Go up, move this guy, pop him right in there. So it's just flush with it, not sticking through. You gotta be very careful with this kind of thing, because if you get it, there we go. It's perfect. And now, move it back so it fits. Now, whenever you just want to empty the shavings out of the bottom of your thing, what you have to do, take this little piece here, move it right in. You have yourself a fully functioning bottom. Whenever you want to take it out, you just pop it out, and booyah, it works. Right, so we got that working. That's awesome. If you've been following along so far and you're doing this, great job. If I'm going a little bit fast, sorry, this is one of my first videos and I promise I will keep improving. Here's a problem though. Now that we have this here, this won't sit correctly. How are we going to fix that? You guessed it, another 2-point rectangle. I love my 2-point rectangles. So we go here, go like this, and take a little thing here, go around like the perimeter, finish our sketch, take them, extrude as far as you can or as far as you think you need. I'm going to say 25 will be good enough for our purposes. And we are going to make a shell. Inside thickness of 2, because that's all we really need. Take this bad boy, extrude him out. Boom. Now we have a little thing. Move this up. Now we will have a little slot here. We can just pop in. This will be a nice stand, and this will allow our pencil case to be a seat correctly on your desk or wherever it needs to be. Boom. Okay. Again, though, we run into another problem. How is this going to get in? Now, engineers use stupid solutions for simple problems. That's what I'm going to do. Again, let's measure this and write this down on a piece of paper we have by us. 2.63, so write this down. 2.63 by, let's see, 23.58. 23.58. Okay. Now we'll go and we'll make a sketch. Another 2-point rectangle. A little bit bigger. Right. Now I'm going to show you a key function of Fusion. Here's how it works. We're going to take this boy, we're going to move it back here, and then we're going to change this, the move thing, to sketch objects. Select anything here, or the whole sketch object, actually, sorry. And you'll be able to just move it along right here. Boom. Take it to the end here. Okay. Have a little thing here. And then we go to split body. We split the body. And we check this off as the splitting tool. Press OK. And now, delete this little part. Or, if the deleting doesn't work, what you can do is use our trusty old friend extrude and extrude it out so there is actually a hole there. Extruding can be used for a lot of different things. This is just one of the ways. Right. Now we have our hole in the side. Can bring this guy back around. Right here. Gotta line it up correctly. Boom. Now we have a stand and we'll be able to slot our piece in perfectly. Alright, if you followed along for this whole tutorial in Fusion, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe for more tutorials like this. This might have been a little bit boring, like I said, first video. Hope you enjoyed. And next time you're 3D printing something, remember, you now have the ability to make really cool stuff like this. I might be making another Fusion 360 video if there are enough comments or likes on the video. If there's a need for it, I will make another video. But yeah, enjoy your newfound skills of 3D modeling.